So, YouTube, I got a new Pentax lens, and I had this lens for about 3 weeks or something like that. And honestly, man, the only thing that I could really say about this lens is that it is literally one of the sharpest f1.4 prime lenses I ever had. I've had two Sigma 85 prime lenses. I've had the Sigma 51.4. I've had a Canon 35.1.4. I've had a whole lot of other like different 51.4s, and I've had the Rokinon 85.1.4, Rokinon 35.1.4, and this is actually an awesome f1.4 prime lens for Pentax. As far as like a pro grade lens, something that's weather sealed, focuses fast and focuses quietly, that's sharp enough at close range, wide open. This is gonna be the best that it can get. And actually, like, this lens is actually like some of the best that it gets, period. Like between like the Sigma Art lenses and the Rokinon primes, this is like one of those lenses that, like, it's almost like you want but you just don't want. And that's kind of how it was for me. It's like I wanted this lens, but I also didn't want this lens, because Pentax actually has another 51.4 DFA star lens. It's a 55 1.4, and as far as what I heard, that also works on full frame too. Only thing about it is that I believe that it's not that sharp wide open, which is fine. I don't really care about wide open sharpness as long as I'm able to use, like if it's an f1.4 lens, as long as I'm able to use f1.8, then I don't really mind. I actually use this lens at f1.8 a lot, and only reason for that is because even though it's sharp wide open, it's not bitingly sharp wide open. Nothing is bitingly sharp wide open. It's sharp enough to not be like bloody soft. Like, you know what I mean? But Pentax has a 55 f1.4, and like that lens is going for around $300. It's half the size, so it's like a third of the price, half the size, and the actual image quality that it has is a whole lot different from this, because the pictures that come out of this, sometimes they can be too sterile, like like sometimes they kind of lack a lot of character. Like they look good, but it's like if you compare the images from something that has a whole lot less glass elements in them, like they tend to look more 3D. Like lenses that got a lot less glass elements tend to look more 3D like, as you can just reach out and grab them. Like, that's not to say that this don't have great image quality, but I mean, there's 11 glass elements in this thing. It's heavy, it's huge, and it's a 50 millimeter. I'm gonna show you how this looks on the Pentax camera. And this is how it looks on the Pentax camera, on the Pentax K1. It's huge. Now let's put the lens hood on. And it gets even bigger. I mean, it's almost like a 70 to 200. You know what I mean? It's huge, man. And like I literally sat there for a couple of weeks, like debating between buying uh, the not so sharp wide open or not so sharp at f1.4 to about f 1.8 or so DFA star 55.14 that a lot of people say it focuses inconsistently sometimes, and had an extreme amount of vignetting with the lens hood on in full frame mode. I'm really sitting back debating on whether I should buy that, for the fact that it's lighter, it uses a lot less glass elements, and also it's cheaper, or if I should just get the best that I can get and deal with the size, weight, and price that comes with it. And something just said, man, look, just take the plunge and get the newer lens, and you will be extremely happy. You won't have a single gripe about the lens at all. And really, I don't have any gripes as far as picture quality go. I mean, the picture quality is awesome. I mean, like, there's really nothing to complain about as far as this goes. It looks good. It looks dreamy. It's full of life. It's full of character. The only thing that I wish is that it wasn't so big. I don't really mind it costing, I think I paid $862 after tax. So yeah, I don't really mind the cost. I mean, it's weather sealed, and it's not just weather sealed. It's Pentax's highest standard of weather sealing, which is all weather. There's AW and WR, and WR is just weather resistant. I mean, like, let's take a lens like this 55 to 300 PLM f4.5 to 6.3. I mean, like, this is WR, and I mean, this has good weather resistance. It's just that the all-weather version of their weather resistance has an even higher standard. I've never taken this out in any extreme weather situations, but if I ever have to, and I know I will have to eventually, and that's the reason why I got it. I know that I'm covered. Another thing that I can say about this lens is that it focuses fast and it focuses consistently. The manual focus ring is really big and it's fun to use. I mean, the manual focus ring is the only thing I really don't like about the focusing system of the lens is that I don't like this switch. Because I mean, Pentax has a switch on the camera body, and then it also has the same switch right there on the lens. And I'm always finding myself accidentally bumping this into manual focus mode. And then right when I'm getting ready to take a shot, my camera's not focusing. And I'm sitting back trying to figure out what in the heck is going on. And I ended up bumping it into manual focus mode. So if I could take anything off this lens or add anything on, I would take that off, period. And I probably wouldn't add anything else on. If I could take anything else off, I would take a little bit of the weight off, and a little bit of the size off. Other than that, it's a perfect lens. There is a little chromatic aberration, but I find that lenses with flaws, such as vignetting and chromatic aberration and not so sharp wide open, and I find that lenses, like prime lenses with flaws like that, tend to be really, really lifelike as far as their rendering goes. I forgot how many bokeh blades this has, or like how many aperture blades this have. I think it has 9 aperture blades, and the aperture like the bokeh is really round all the way into about f5.6. And I mean, that really don't matter to me. I'm not really sitting back saying, "Oh my God, it's in the shape of a stop sign." This is a bad lens because it has funny shaped bokeh. You know, it's not that big a deal. It might be a big deal to some people that, you know, that just sit back and try and pick out the minorest flaws in picture quality and say, I want to take this lens back, you know, such as chromatic aberration. Like, chromatic aberration is really just not that big a deal depending on what you shoot. I mean, if you shoot photography and you can take out chromatic aberration in post-processing, or you really don't see it unless you zoom in to 100%, I don't really see why it's that big of a complaint. But, you know, like if you shoot video or something like that and you just looking at it like, oh, that's just way too obvious, then I could see. But I mean, chromatic aberration is not really on my list of, you know, of my list of gripes. A lot of my gripes come from weight, size, how far do you have to stop down in order for the picture to be sharp, and does it focus consistently? It focusing fast is not really my complaint. It focusing consistently is, because a lot of times I don't want to sit back and take more than one shot in order to get one shot, even though I do anyway. But still, I just want to be able to rely on what I spend my money on. Now, as far as things go, as far as like the picture quality, that I can say is that, like, you know, it is sharp at 1.4, but I wouldn't plan to always shoot this at 1.4. And it's not really a thing about this lens goes. I mean, this is a thing about all 1.4 prime lenses, is that it's really only good in close ranges, you know, like close distances. But the further you start to go away, you know, like the worse it gets. So like, I know a lot of people say, well, you buy a 1.4 lens to shoot at 1.4. No, you don't buy a 1.4 lens to just shoot at 1.4. You buy a 1.4 lens to be able to shoot at 1.4 when you need 1.4. You know, it boggles my mind when I hear people say, well, you buy a lens like this to shoot at f1.4. So I mean, if you shooting a group shot, like if you got more than one picture in the frame, I mean, like you got more than one person in the frame, and you want both of them people in focus, you gonna shoot at f1.4? Or if you just got one person in the frame and all you want is their little eyeball like that, just, you know, just pop it in focus and everything else out of focus, I could see that. But I mean, it's not always that necessary, because I find that, you know, like, you want some of the picture in focus. You don't want everything blurred out and all you want is a slither of an eyelash. You know, it's like, I mean, I get it. You know, I mean, you buy an f1.4 lens because, you know, somewhere you thought about needing low light performance and you thought about needing that 1.4 aperture. But you don't buy a 1.4 lens to just have it stuck at 1.4 all the time. That's just stupid, man. It's dumb. Like, you want some kind of depth of focus somewhere. You know, like, ooh, excuse me. It's almost like saying, well, like, you buy a sports car to drive fast. And it's like, yeah, yes, I get it. But at some point, you're going to have to slow down. You know, like, you're going to have to hit a stop sign. Like, you're going to have to do the speed limit. So it's like, no, you just, it's like, if you want to do that more than a few times at a time, you know, like more than a few times, then yeah, I get it. But I don't always shoot with this lens at 1.4. So it being sharp wide open is great, but even if it wasn't sharp wide open, it probably wouldn't matter anyway, because I don't always use it wide open. Vignetting, it does vignette at f1.4. It kind of clears up around f whatever. I don't really know. I didn't really do any like scientific testing, I would say. But I have done like some headshots. Yes, I've done headshots with this 51.4. I've done some regular shots of, just my kids and, just some stuff around the neighborhood. But as far as like, like the professional work that I've done so far was just some headshot portraits. I've done photos for a restaurant of like some food and, some marketing material and things like that. And having the ability to, to isolate a subject from the background and the picture still be decently sharp is great. The only thing is that I wish the thing wasn't this big. I mean, as far as the price goes, fine. Fine. I mean, just for the simple fact that it's this rugged and weather sealed, it being, the $800 I paid is great. The $1,200 it released at, okay. I mean, even then, it's still cheaper than the Canon 1.2. Well, it was around the same price, I guess. But I really couldn't have seen myself paying the $1,200 it released at. But the $800 I got it for, second hand. I mean, I could have got a new one for $900, but I mean, it wasn't really that big a deal. I mean, I got it in perfect condition. Like, one of the things that I should add about this lens, and this is, it kind of bothers me in a way, but it uses electronic aperture something, meaning that when the lens change aperture, it goes down really smooth and it's not that mechanical. So like you can't really hear the aperture change. So in video mode, you can change aperture without seeing it click down or even hearing it click down. But the thing that saddens me is that, like, Pentax is not a video system. I have two Pentax lenses that would be it would be the tits if Pentax like was a video system. I have this and the 55-300 PLM. I mean, if Pentax up their video game, a lot of these lenses would be great video lenses. And then also because they have a lot of their lenses have actual aperture rings. I mean, which could be cool, but like I don't know. I think that's cool maybe if you want to adapt a lens, like from a different brand, but like this PLM lens, it has the world's most silent focusing motor. A lot of times I can't even see the subject fall into focus before I even think to focus. It's focused. But like this also has that electronic aperture thingy that it does, and you can't see or hear the aperture click down. And like I think that's cool and stuff. I just really wish that I really wish that Pentax would up their video system in their camera, or at least And in fact, I won't even say this at least. I would say that this is the way that they should go. They should make a dedicated interchangeable lens camcorder. That's what they should do. Not make video DSLRs, but make a dedicated interchangeable lens camcorder. You know, kind of like how the Sony system has, or kind of like how the Canon C100 and C1 or the C200s and stuff like that is. I mean, if Pentax would do that, I think they would have a very powerful, you know, like a very powerful camera brand, because I mean they already have medium format. I'm like, they have the world's most mature APS-C photography system. And I mean, like, dude, like they have the world's most mature APS-C photography system. If only they come out with new versions of their 15, of their 16 to 50 and 50 to 135, with new SDM lenses. I mean, they would have the world's most mature photography system. But I just think that they should make a dedicated video camera to take advantage of some of these newer lenses that they making that will benefit from some of the features that they put in them. Because it's almost like, okay, like you put that in the camera or you put that feature in the lens, but I'll never be able to benefit from it because I never see myself ever needing to have a smooth aperture closing and opening. You know, I mean, like, I'm sure it probably won't make a difference whether they put it in there or not. It's like I don't really think that they're gonna be charging me money for it, but I just wish that, like, I just wish that I was actually able to take advantage of it, is what I'm saying. I mean, the lens goes from 1.4 to 1.16. I mean, the f16. What else? I mean, there's really nothing else I can say about it. I mean, like, this is one of the best quality lenses I've ever used. And I've had a lot of different lenses when I shot in Canon. The only thing is that I wish the lens was not this freaking big, man. Like, and it's the same exact lens as the Tokina Opera 50 millimeter 1.4 full frame lens. It's the same exact lens. I think Pentax might have either made this lens and let Tokina use it, or Tokina might have made that lens and let Pentax use it. But Pentax, they put their own, you know, like their own lens coatings on it, and then they turned around and weather sealed it, and then put an SDM focusing motor in it. But I mean, that's probably why they put the electronic aperture thingy in it, is because, I mean, like, you can get this lens in Canon and Nikon too. So, you know, I could see those systems benefiting from that, but this one, not at all, man. But other than that, man, if I actually had the choice, I would probably go back and spend the money on the DA 55 1.4 just to see if I would have got a good copy that actually focused consistently and was sharp at least until f1.8. I mean, f1.4, I'm not really asking for too much, but f1.8 at least. But I mean, I'm glad that I got it. I'm not ungrateful. I'm glad I do, you know, have a lens that's this, you know, like that's this high of an image quality, like that actually works like a high precision professional tool. But I mean, if I could actually buy it again, I would probably wait and see if the DA Star lens could have worked well for me on my full frame camera. And I'm gonna actually let you guys hear how this lens focuses here, or see. I mean, so it focuses pretty quick, I think. But I mean, that's pretty much all I can say. In the future, I'm gonna make another video where I'm actually using this lens, you know, probably like during a shoot, and let you see some of the sample pictures that it make. But this was just kind of my rant. So if I kind of went off topic in any, you know, any point in time, just forgive me. This was meant to be a rant and not some kind of test result or anything like that. But if you guys have any questions about this lens, any particular thing that you want me to test out using this lens, just leave a comment below. Like, subscribe, and share to any Pentax forum you guys might be a part of. I actually got kicked out of one of the Pentax forums because I guess the administrator to one of them kind of tried to argue with me about teleconverters. So it's one of them I'm not really a part of. So like, if you guys could please share my video there, that'd be great. But yeah, and tell him I said what's up. I forgot the guy's name, but it was kind of funny, man. This kind of happened, you know, sometime last year or something like that. I mean, it's not really that big a deal, you know. But other than that, if there's anything that you want me to test out using this lens, just let me know, and I could see about making a future video of it, and hopefully I can have a different person recording for me so that I'm not trying to do all this by myself. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one.